Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to participate in this year SLOconf, and my topic is retroactive evaluation of service level objectives with VictoriaMetrics. My name is Khavronenko. I'm one of VictoriaMetrics co-founders and also its software engineers. Software development is part of my everyday work, and today I'll be talking about the feature I have implemented. What is VictoriaMetrics? It is open source time series database and monitoring solution. It is distributed on the GitHub under Apache 2 license. It is compatible with Prometheus and Grafana. So if you are using those technologies, take a look at VictoriaMetrics as well. Okay, I bet many of you are familiar with the screenshot on the slides right now. It is a screenshot from Grafana dashboard provided by another cool open source project, SLOs, which used by Prometheus users to define and implement service level objectives over the time series data. And what is time series data? That's basically an ordered series of measurements or observations. For example, if you have some application which serves user requests, then you can have a metric called HTTP request, which will be recording the number of requests served for users, or duration of those requests, or even number of errors returned to the users. Basically, anything which has a timestamp and a value is a time series data. So right now on the screen, we have a piece of configuration file used for a SLO project or SLO tool, which helps to define the SLO objective. Here, objective is based on the availability of HTTP requests, and objective is set to 99.9, which basically means that we allow failing one request every 1,000 of requests. And to calculate this objective, we use two SLIs, one for the total number of served requests and another one for number of errors served during those requests. Okay, but another very important part of this configuration is window expression, highlighted by yellow on the screen. So most of the SLOs are window-based, which means that they are calculated over some time interval. Visually, it can be represented as a sliding time window over a stream of time series data. This data is constantly changing, so the sliding time window all the time captures new and new samples. So it means that SLO need to be recalculated constantly, like a process, because data all the time is changing. We calculated on the interval of 30 days on the screenshot, and this is kind of default period for a SLO calculation. It's also default value for SLOs tool. And this interval is also used across industry. It is quite granular and also allows to consume like error bursts reliably. And however, for some installations which process a lot of data, like millions of time series with billions of samples, calculating something on a 30-day interval could be quite expensive. So there is a solution in Prometheus community for that, and it is called recording rules. So what is recording rule? That's a pretty clever concept, and it is very similar to materialized view from Postgres. Basically, it means that for all incoming data, you can define an expression which will summarize it or calculate the maximum or doing something different. Basically, apply any expression and then store the result of that expression under the name of new time series. For example, this is a recording rule created by SLOs tool after you defined that piece of configuration before. And here's what it consists of. So it consists of expression where we calculate the ratio between good and bad requests, and the new name under which result of this calculation will be saved. And the new time series will be called SLO, SLI error ratio over 3 days. Okay, but there is a problem with recording rule. Recording rules doesn't have retroactive effect. So they start working only after you define them, which means that before the definition, you will have no data from that recording rule. And this is specifically critical for SLO calculation and default time window of 30 days, which means that if you want to calculate this SLO over 30 days, you define the recording rule, and then you need to wait for 30 days for the whole window size for this data to fill up. Before that, you will have only partially available data on your dashboards, or every time you check the error budget, whatever. So is there a solution for this as well? Well, yes. So one of the VictoriaMetrics component called vmalert. vmalert is a standalone tool which is used for rules evaluation, alerting or recording rules. It can run as a daemon doing the real-time evaluation, just like Prometheus does for alerting and recording rules. But also it can be used as a CLI tool to do one-time jobs, like backfilling results of recording or alerting rules. So on the screen, we have an example of configuring vmalert to run as a CLI tool. We feed it with the same rules generated from the SLOs component that support the same recording and alerting rule definition. And then we specifically say that we want to evaluate them in the past from this specific moment of time to this specific moment of time. And when we start it, it starts sequentially execute all the rules configured one by one, and backfill the results of this rules execution back to the time series database. And this one-by-one sequential execution is also cool because it preserves the chaining of the recording rules, which is, that's also a concept where one recording rule using results of the previous recording rules. So you can chain one rule after another to reuse already calculated results. And this is respected by this replay mode in vmalert. So after you backfilled the data with vmalert, you will be able to see the full data in the dashboard. Your SLO will be already calculated in the past, which is kind of cool. And also you are not limited with a 1 month time window. You can recalculate everything for a year or more. And this also have you options to validate how your SLO was calculated in the past, how it could be. And another cool feature, a bonus of this replay, is that vmalert also evaluates alerting rules. So if you had like a threshold for breaching the error budget or something like that, and it was breached, vmalert will generate the alert notification and alert time series in the past and backfill it as well. So you can check in the past if your SLO was breached or not. Okay, to sum up. So vmalert is an open source tool, a standalone tool. It can be used without VictoriaMetrics as a separate tool. It is free to use. It is also under Apache 2 license. It supports both recording and alerting rules, which you can evaluate in the real time or in the past. It supports rules chaining, which is especially important for calculating SLOs. It uses Prometheus HTTP API for reading data and remote write protocol from Prometheus to backfilling results of the calculation, which makes it compatible with many other time series database like Prometheus. And it also can be used for evaluating rules against distributed installation. So basically you can configure it to read from one cluster and backfill results to another cluster. Okay, that's pretty it. Thank you very much for your attention, and please check the links on the screen if you liked this talk. Thank you.